Okay, thank you. Moving on, resolution to adopt a policy for the display and flying of flags on town property. Whereas the town of Enfield has not adopted a formal policy for the displaying and flying of flags on town-owned real property and town-owned personal property. And whereas in past years, the American flag, the state of Connecticut flag, and the MIA-POW flags were consistently displayed and flown on town property. And whereas the town council wishes to speak only for itself, not for any other person or organization in creating its own governmental flag policy. And whereas the town council wishes to project solely its own views as opposed to entertaining future applications from organizations or members of the public to fly or otherwise display any flag or emblem not specifically cited and or authorized by this resolution, thereby rejecting the creation of any type of a public forum through this resolution. And whereas the town council desires to formally adopt a policy regarding the displaying and flying of flags on all town property. Be it resolved that Enfield Town Council formally adopts a policy in which only the American flag, state of Connecticut flag, the MIA-POW flag, and the flags of the various military services of the United States may be displayed or flown on town-owned real property, including but not limited to buildings and grounds, and town-owned personal property, including but not limited to motor vehicles, furniture, and furnishings. And be it further resolved, any previous resolution and policies to the contrary are hereby repealed. Day prepared 1/3/2024, prepared by town attorney.
So moved.
Motion's made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Questions? Seeing none. Oh, there we go. Councilman Sakala.
So I've asked this question in email, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. So we have a town attorney opinion that we all received November 21st, 2023, that was forwarded to, I think, us from Mark Serrato, but the opinion was from Jim Talberg. And it says Enfield does not have a formal flag policy, and that is for the best under the current First Amendment case law. And then it goes on to state that we should, if we want to do anything, he would support it by passing a resolution on a case-by-case basis, which is what we're doing now. So we have a legal opinion that says we shouldn't have a flag policy. Why are we passing a flag policy? Anyone?
Because we don't have a flag policy and we're only allowing the governmental and military flags. That's it.
So we have a legal opinion from our former town attorney that says we shouldn't have a flag policy. I'm just confused as to why we're now passing a flag policy. And to be honest, I'm going to give you all an out on the real reason you want to pass this flag policy, and saying that you can now say we shouldn't have a flag policy because we have a legal opinion that says we shouldn't. So you don't have to say the real reason you want to have this flag policy. I don't support it. I think it's ridiculous. We have an opinion, and I think the real reason is you don't want that pride flag up on this town hall, which is absolutely disgusting, that you want to repeal it.
Mr. Mayor, if I might respond to
I didn't ask, so.
Councilwoman Sakala's characterization of the
Sure,
town
you go
attorney's
ahead, Tom.
opinion.
You're the town attorney. You have all the right in the world to respond.
Okay, she's actually mischaracterized what he said in his opinion, and Attorney Talberg, in his November 21st, 2023 opinion, he did say that you don't have a formal flag policy. That's true. But if you look at the second paragraph, he says, in simple terms, my recommendations in 2022, following the Supreme Court's decision in Shurtleff, was rather than have a formal flag policy that contemplates members of the public seeking to display flags. ISIS could come in and want to display one. The IRA, well, basically anybody. You'd have to be content neutral and let everybody do something. So if you have no flag policy, anybody can come in and do what they want. If you have a flag policy, it must be content neutral if you are in fact allowing members of the public to come in and state or make an application to you. However, he does continue on and say that the council could choose which specific organizational flags, if any, the majority of the council wish to support. I also recommended, so this is what he recommended in 2022, that the council do this sparingly, and they would also need to document that support by passing a resolution on a case-by-case basis. He goes on to say that local governments and elected officials may engage in constitutionally protected government speech, and that's different than when you are creating a public forum. And so when you asked me, Mr. Mayor, to prepare this particular resolution, I did it taking into consideration the guidance provided by the Supreme Court in the Shurtleff decision. And I believe that as long as you keep your flags to what this majority of the council supports and espouses, that's it. Now, this doesn't mean you can't get sued by the ACLU or anybody. I mean, anybody gets sued for anything at any time, but it doesn't mean that they win. And so this resolution, the preamble, is couched in the terms that complies to the best of our ability with that Supreme Court decision in the event you choose to adopt a government speech resolution, which this is tailor-made for your speech. You don't have to give equal airtime to anybody else. You're not creating a public forum. This is what you believe the people of the town of Enfield support. And there's another case I believe he cited in here, which is actually pretty funny because it says that the government's entitled to say what it wishes and to select the views it wants to express. And the government is not unaccountable, however, because citizens who do not approve of their government's message can vote them out of office. So 2 years ago, Attorney Talberg made his presentation and gave you three options. Do nothing, do something, including all the public applications, or do a government resolution. Apparently what the council chose to do at that point was nothing. But that doesn't mean that this council can't adopt a different course or the same course. You may decide tonight, I don't want to do anything. Or you may decide I want the public included and sky's the limit on anybody and anything that comes in. It's going to be very difficult to deny any application for anything, including ISIS. So, and then of course the third is what Talberg really recommended, which is in paragraph 2 of his November 21st, 2023 letter. And that's the resolution that was prepared for you. That's the best I can do about straightening out the record.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councilman Mangini.
Thank you. It's a very sad day in Enfield, Connecticut, and it's going to be even sadder going forward should this resolution pass. We live in a democracy. I, for one, and I know I share thoughts with my colleagues, some of my colleagues up here, that we want to keep a democracy. in Enfield, Connecticut at least, where we represent the people of the town of Enfield. Granted, we've got legal opinions here, there, and everywhere, which is terrific. However, we also have a Constitution of the United States of America, which supersedes all of the jargon that we're looking at here, all the mumbo jumbo, to avoid putting up flags that maybe some members of council do not support or approve of the belief that those flags represent. However, we have a Constitution. People in America are protected and governed by the Constitution of the United States. If a person chooses to fly the Juneteenth flag or the LGBTQ+2 flag or whichever flag, it's something that the council should be open enough to look at the diversity and the purpose of that particular individual or group choosing to fly the flag, be it on the town green, be it on any town property. So I, for one, am not going to support this resolution. This, to me, is a form of tyranny, and I will not endorse that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Crissati.
Yep. Through the mayor to, I guess, the town attorney. In the event that the flag policy passes, my question is, when Ujima has a event here at the town green, or the Pride group has their event, and they want to display their flags, is that going to be permissible, or is it not going to be permissible? If they're going to be having an event here, on a Saturday or Sunday. There's the Pride event that we've had the last few years. The Ujima's here the last few years. They have their flags. Are they going to be able to use them during their events?
In accordance with this resolution, assuming it passes, do you mean to use these flags on town-owned property?
Well, it's right here, yes.
Well, then your resolution does not authorize that. So the answer is no. The only flags you're going to be able to use are the ones on town-owned property. Real property or personal property would be that which is in the resolution, specified in the resolution. And that actually complies with the Supreme Court decision, who does interpret the Constitution for us. So that's the Supreme Court decision, and that is what Attorney Talberg recited in his November 21st, 2023 letter. They can fly their flag any other place they want on private property. It's up to them. But on town-owned property, real property, which includes grounds and buildings, and town-owned personal property, motor vehicles, furnitures, and furnishings, then this resolution controls, which means if it's an American flag, Connecticut flag, POW flag, or a flag of the various armed forces of the United States of America, they can fly. Other than that, they cannot fly. But that doesn't mean you can't come in and make another motion and try to have another resolution to try and do something. But the resolution and flag policy of this council, assuming this passes, is as it says in the resolution, only those flags.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Mayor, to the town attorney. So when the Pride Festival, when they have the Pride Day, they don't hang a flag that day. They hand flags out. They have flags in front of their booths, but they don't actually have a flag hanging. So they'd still be able to display it because it's their tables that they're putting it on. It's not. But they don't. It wouldn't be on, and that's where I'm trying to get clarification. So if they're renting out the town green, it's not on a flagpole that's on the town property. It's on their tables. It's on. Would that still be the same thing?
The way the resolution stands now, and you can always, hey, it's your resolution, you can do whatever you want with it. But the way it stands now is that unless it's an American flag, state of Connecticut flag, POW, MIA, or flag of the various armed forces of the United States of America, then it doesn't belong on town-owned property, as I've defined it, town-owned real property or town-owned personal property. So in your example that you gave, the answer is it would be a violation of your flag policy for anybody to put up a flag or an emblem that is not specifically authorized in your government speech. I don't know how else to answer the question, but that's what you're passing with this resolution.
Okay, because I was under the understanding that they would still be able to use it for it would be for just their festival for that day. Ujima, the same thing. They have the flag but again, it's not hanging on the building and it's not on a pole.
Read the resolution. Buildings and
Doug.
grounds.
I'm good. I'm sorry. To you now. I'm thinking.
I kind of have a hard time swallowing that. So if I pull my truck in the town hall parking lot and I have an LGBTQ, I don't even know what it is, sticker on my bumper, I can't park in the town parking lot?
Well, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you're displaying it as a flag or emblem, which the United States flag is, state of Connecticut, POWMIA, then that clearly, I don't think that would be a violation with somebody that's got a motor vehicle traveling through. But what I'm talking about is on town-owned properties or motor vehicles, you can always amend it if you want. I mean, you guys can change it now as you're discussing it. What you're really asking me is more of policy than what the law is.
Right.
So I'm trying to draft something that I thought you wanted. If you don't want it, then it's up to you guys to figure it out.
So if I'm correct too, that the minute you lease a property, it's up to them to do what they choose with it within the guidelines of the lease. We no longer control. As a landlord, I can't walk in my tenant's house. I can't tell them what they can and can't do unless it's within the confines of my lease. So anybody who uses the town green, or any building for that matter, has some sort of a lease agreement. They have to have insurances and everything else. It's in our facilities use policy.
That's not what this says.
I think what you're asking me is with regard to town-owned as opposed to town-controlled. So this resolution talks about any town-owned property. Mm-hmm. That's very broad. If you want to talk about town-owned except for leased, well, then you can modify your resolution if you want to do that. But every time you do something like that, you are opening it up then to a public forum, which then opens it up to neutral content, which then means anybody and everybody can put whatever flag they want or whatever emblem they want. You can't have it both ways on that. So you either have no policy or a policy for the public, or you have your policy for government. This one is a policy strictly for government, but again, you're the policy maker. It's not me.
All right. Make a motion to amend the policy.
I want to make a motion to amend the.
Oh my God! Can I finish telling you the policy? Go ahead. Who wanted to speak? Councilman Finger.
So what you're saying is that and I'm going to need help with these other organizations that support veterans. Okay, they support them, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. I'm mistaken. Like the American Legion or anything else, AMVETS, but not just them. The ones who are helping taking care of the PTSD of the veterans.
Grays Club.
No, I'm just saying there's other organizations out there. They're a nonprofit organization out there. They're raising money to help veterans find homes, hook them up with dogs, for them to have a caring. Right there.
Like a Wounded Warrior.
Thank you very much. That's what I was looking for, a Wounded Warrior Project. So now, if this policy passes, all right, and it's not worded correctly, they're not going to be able to be out there. That's wrong.
Well, then it's up to you to make the changes in it and do whatever you want with it. I'm just telling you what it means as presently drafted. So.
Make a motion to amend the policy to include buildings and flagpole, town-owned building and flagpoles only, not the grounds. Hold on, make it.
Okay. I would like to make an amendment to this resolution that we would amend it to only town buildings and flagpoles,
Excluding grounds.
excluding grounds.
Motion's made and seconded. Questions on the amendment? Councilman Sakala.
Does this include schools?
It
Where do
includes
grounds?
all town buildings.
Where does grounds start and end? What
Come
about
on,
inside
Gina.
the? No. You can't come on, Gina, me on this. I have the floor. This is as important as anything else. And I'm very sorry that you're annoyed that we're still talking about it.
Not annoyed.
Perhaps you should table it.
As an
and
attorney, you should
figure-
know what grounds is versus a real property building.
So as I was saying, perhaps you should table it so you can make the changes that you need to in the policy that you want to in the right places. But I also think this really does hurt those people who are on town property, who are maybe displaying an Italian flag or whatever other heritage flags that they have. This really does not allow for that.
We just removed it.
Right, just for not on flagpoles and grounds. So I'm not
No.
sure that is buildings
and flagpoles.
and flag.
They
Sure.
can do whatever they want on the town green if they rent the space.
Okay, so does that include the interior of a building?
No.
What?
No. It
No.
includes,
Because, so, Deputy Mayor Pisner is saying if it's a government building, it does. Councillor Ungary was saying if it's a government building, it does, and you're saying no. So again, if we're not all on the same page, my suggestion would be perhaps we table it. That being said, I'm not going to brush over the fact that I did send an email on this twice, and the only response I got from the town attorney was to the town manager that said I was asked to create this resolution, but never once answered any of my questions. But yet, the mayor tells you to be prepared, and you're prepared. So I'm not going to brush over that. So there are 11 people on this council.
maybe if you start showing him the respect that he's shown you, he'll
Ken,
address you.
You should probably not talk to me about showing people respect.
So there's a motion on the floor to amend the policy to government buildings and flagpoles only. The motion's made and seconded,
Excuse me,
excluding grounds.
which counselor seconded it? I didn't hear.
Lori Ungary.
Thank you.
Is there any more discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment? Okay, 6 in favor.
Oh, you got your majority.
Thank you. Okay, any more questions on the policy? Councilman Santinella.
I mean, why don't you just repeal the resolution and avoid all of this? Because that's what you want to do.
No, that's
And-
what you want us to
No,
do. You
no.
want us to pin
Well, you're
this
doing the
on
same
one
thing.
group. When the
Listen,
Boy Scouts
listen,
can't
I'm sorry.
fly a
I have the
flag.
floor, Ken. I'm sorry. I have the floor. The
Go
mayor
ahead.
should stay in order because that's what you want to do. You want to repeal the resolution. That's what you want to do. Just do it. You're tap dancing around all of it with a flag policy. Let me tell you something. I know you won, but on this issue, you're not in the majority. You are not. And two of you over there voted for the original resolution. You know, we can sit here, all of us can sit here and think that we are the center of the universe because we won an election. 71% of registered voters stayed home. That's what they think of us. 14% of the people who voted for us, and 15% voted for you. So we're talking about a 1% swing, and you think you have the high ground here? You don't. This town is very supportive of this community. Like it or not, just do what you want to do. Repeal that resolution. Don't pretend like you're trying to do something else by creating a strong flag policy. People are smart enough to see through that.
You all set?
I'm all set.
When the Boy Scouts can't fly a flag on the town hall and other people can, Tom, can you read that ethics that you read earlier about the council has to follow about not only allowing particular groups and not others, please? And how that policy itself is a violation of our ethics and it has nothing to do with who the policy is?
It's Ethics Ordinance, oh, thank you, Chris. Ethics Ordinance Section 2-129 that lists prohibited acts, including giving special treatment. And under that prohibited acts, it says, which is prohibited, affording special treatment to any citizen beyond that which is available to every other citizen.
And the current resolution, does that allow any other citizens to fly a flag on the building?
No,
Okay.
does not.
And I get the word wrong, emoluments clause? Emoluments clause.
Emoluments, yeah.
Does that also apply in this situation?
With this resolution, I haven't researched that part.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that. I would say this, emoluments would not apply if you have a resolution that's government-only flags. Meanwhile, if you have a resolution that's going to let in Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, ISIS, IRA, any of that, well then emoluments wouldn't apply because you're letting them in. I mean,
Right.
everybody's treated the same. They're all in.
Right.
So, but again, with this particular government speech, the way I'm looking at what Marie made for the amendment, I think it says now that the same flags are going to be flown. It says may be displayed or flown on town-owned buildings and flag poles only. Is that accurate, Marie? So what you're crossing off is, it used to say on town-owned real property, including but not limited to buildings and grounds, and town-owned personal property, including but not limited to motor vehicles, furniture, and furnishings. So you're narrowing the scope of what you're doing to still allowing only those flags on town-owned buildings and flag poles only, period. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you're be further resolved, any previous resolutions and policies that contrary are repealed.
Right. So
So
if they want,
that's the amendment, as I understand it, and as I did tell the clerk also.
Right. All right. Any group wants to advertise on one of the baseball fields, fences, one of our dial-a-ride buses, that's what that's for. But the greatest flag in the world is the one out front, and that gives us the right to sit here and have this conversation and be upset with each other and go back and forth.
On the buildings and on the flagpole. Only, yes.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Finger.
Against.
Counselor Hendrickson.
For.
Counselor Ludwig.
For.
Counselor Mangini.
Against.
Counselor Nasuda.
For.
Mayor Nelson.
For.
Deputy Mayor Pisner. 4. Counselor Santinella.
Against.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
Against.
And Counselor Crisati.
Against.
That's 6 in favor, 5 against.
Okay.